All right. If
Thank
everyone can
you.
hear me, somebody just send me a note, and we'll move on. Victor, I see you're back.
Yes, thank you so much.
All right.
I was hiding in a MOSFET, so
All right. Well, thanks. Sorry for all the confusion here. It's our first time using Hopin and had to jump to a different browser to make this work. So if you can see the slides, Victor, I can run through these quickly and we can have a dialogue with the folks on the call if that makes sense.
sure, that will be fine.
All right. So what Victor was alluding to is I run the venture fund at Lockheed Martin. People are oftentimes surprised that Lockheed has a venture fund, but they've actually had one since 2007. I recently joined Lockheed Martin from the semiconductor world, where I spent 30 years in various roles. The last several years running a venture fund in that world too. Came to Lockheed Martin in 2016 and was given this great portfolio of interest to go hunt for new technologies for. So let me tell you a little about what we do in terms of Lockheed Martin's venturing. We're actually a $200 million fund. We're strategically focused. So that means though we still are interested in financial returns, obviously our number one role is finding technology, as Victor mentioned, interesting to national security and our customers in the Department of Defense. To do that, we've been allocated $200 million to invest. And so far, we've invested in about 49 companies. This is extending back to before when I was here. We've done 30 or so since I've been at the company, but 49 in total in the portfolio. And you can see the areas of interest down below. And good overlap in terms of areas that the industry is looking at and where companies are being formatted. Certainly the AI ML space is big, autonomy is big. Recently completed a quantum investment and looking at all the different sensors and signal and communication systems as well. And we've done 3 space investments since I've been here as well. So quite a broad portfolio of interests, and we continue to look in all those areas for new tech. This is the group as we have it set up. It's not a large group. It's roughly 6 people plus a couple that we're in the process of bringing on board. We've got half the team in Bethesda outside of Washington, D.C., and the rest of the team out here with me in the Silicon Valley. So we're able to cover technology interests on both coasts with those folks. So that shouldn't be an impediment to getting a hold of one of us and talking to us about what you're working on. And then where we slot in, people often ask, well, how do you see yourself in the broader Lockheed context? And like many large companies, we have a strategic plan. It's a 3-year plan. The current year, the 0 to 12 month, or Horizon 1 in terms of the lean startup definitions, is the operating plan that the business areas run, and they're totally focused on that. All their dollars are put to that and achieving the revenue profit goals that they have. But they extend out into Horizon 2, which is this 3-year, we call it the LRP here at Lockheed Martin, the long range plan. And some of that is shared by the CTO organization as well. But then there's a big gap between that work, which probably extends out 3 to 5 years max, and then the work that we're doing with universities. And Lockheed spends, on the order of $50 to $100 million per year doing research at universities, cooperative research at universities. But there's a big gap because that generally the horizon of that is 7 to 10 years. So we've got this gap between 3 years and 7 years, and logically that's specifically where the venture world operates. So the VC community tries to find those big ideas that will mature into big opportunities in the 3 to 5 year horizon, and the venture work that we're doing slots perfectly in the innovation pipeline between the long range planning that Lockheed's doing, which is out to 3 years, and some of the really deep research work that the CTO organization is doing. So we like to talk inside Lockheed that we're operating outside the LRP and inside the university research from a timeline perspective. So that's where we slot in. What have we been doing the last 4+ years? So we rebooted the fund when I got there. We rebooted the fund in 2016. We refocused our investments on things of strategic interest to Lockheed: autonomy, AI space, electronics, quantum. As I said, the fund was increased from 100 million to 200 million in 2018. And since then, we've been very busy collecting leads, over 3,000. Since then, we've probably looked at or talked to about 1,000 companies in that period of time. And we've been able to deploy about $100 million in those companies since 2016. Even this number 26 is out of date because we completed an investment yesterday, so we've done 27 since 2016. And you can see we're very active in 2019. And currently, we're on track to do about the same number of investments in 2020. Given all the COVID issues about meeting people and talking to companies, we've been very active on Zoom. I probably do 8 or 9 Zoom calls a day talking to companies, and a little tired of that. Would love to get back to the coffee shops that we used to go to before, but anyway, it hasn't really slowed us down. So we're on the same pace, as you can see, to deploy the same amount of capital this year as well. And then the other thing that we're doing is we've extended our reach out a little bit to Australia and the UK by doing some fund investments over there, and work very closely with those fund managers to look at opportunities as well. And the other key thing to note on here is that besides the investment dollars, like we said, we've done $100 million already with new investments. Lockheed itself has then written contracts with portfolio companies to the tune of $80 million plus as well. So this is one of the measurements that we look at, is what is the uptake of the technology and the partnerships that we create with our companies and Lockheed Martin proper. So that's been going well. So this just kind of puts a foot stomp on that. What have we been doing? This is the rate of investment. You can see it's accelerating since I joined in 2020. It'll be no different. And then in terms of the capital deployment, the vast majority of that's gone to autonomy, robotics, AI, ML, kind of areas that are moving extremely fast in the commercial space, and areas that the government obviously is intensely interested in with the formation of the JAIC and the growing use of autonomy and AI and a variety of systems to look at. So that's our distribution. And then, the question is, what do we do after the investment? So people often ask, well, do you just invest and walk away? And, I tell folks inside Lockheed Martin that basically 90% of the work starts after the money goes in. So we try to be good partners with the company. We try to steer you to opportunities, both inside Lockheed Martin and outside. We assist you with fundraising. We try to get you audiences with the key technologies. In fact, that what's showing on the top of this chart, we just had our own internal, we call it demo day. It's like a pitch day where we have all our startups come and talk to the Lockheed Martin fellows, which are the top tier technical talent in the company. We had over 200 attendees this year, which was great. All the major business areas sent a person virtually online to talk to the companies this year. And the new thing that we're doing now is we're starting to do proof of concept work. So we have a little bit of extra money outside of the fund to fund small projects with the business areas, with the goal of getting them to pick up the funding going forward if the program works out successfully. So that's what that bottom chart is showing: post-investment integration. That means getting you involved and working with us either in a supplier relationship or a teaming or collaboration relationship at some point, because that's really what we're after with the investments that we're trying to do. So the bottom line is we give you money and then we work for you. That's kind of odd. I don't think there are many constructs where you're going to see that, but that's how we're set up to do that. So we work for you inside Lockheed Martin once we're on your team and you're on our team to do that. And so that's it. That's our big claim and our focus. And, as this challenge coin says, we're looking for the next big ideas, and we're hoping to make your mission our mission, and vice versa. All right, that's it, Victor.
Chris, that's wonderful. And I just noted that that's the quote of the day. We give you money and then we work for you.
Yeah, that's weird, but that's the way it works out. And the team's very committed to that. And as I said, we've been able to garner an additional $80 million of contract money, post the investments that we've done. And that's worked out really well for the companies as well.
Wonderful. There's a question from Rick Tett. He says he's curious about the POC investments, how they're structured. Yeah. Seed, convertible, how does that work?
No, those aren't investments. Those are small contracts. That's the way we're trying to operate that. So that's separate from the equity investment that we do. And really what that is, what I find out now, I've been here at Lockheed now 4 years and getting to know the players and the people and how decisions are made. And everyone is from Missouri. It's all show me, show me, show me. And so we've got to show them. And so what we did is we worked with the finance group to get a little bit of what you would say IRAD dollars set aside to allow us to run small projects. And these are really small projects, but give the startup company an opportunity to demonstrate the tech in a more intimate way, maybe targeted at a specific need that one of the business areas have, and prove to them that they really can do what they say they can do.
Great. You and I first met at the Capital Factory in Austin. And,
right.
You presented, but then you had discussions with a long line of folks who were really interested in talking about capability. And this moves into a question that Mark Good asks. He says, what's the process for identifying prospective investments and supplier partners?
Yeah, so we do have a fairly, I wouldn't say, we're constantly evolving it, but so we start we spend a lot of time meeting with our business area counterparts. And when I say a lot of time, this is part that the financial VCs don't have to do. About half of my time, literally half of my time, up until COVID, was spent traveling to the various business area headquarters, meeting with the key technology and business folks and finding out what their needs were. So we try to then look for technologies that solve those problems based upon what they've told us they're looking for. And so that's the start of the process. If we find, something that you're working on that slots into a potential solution for them, then, that's the criteria for us starting the process. And then past that, we're going to look at you the way any other investor would, is what's the likelihood of getting a return on investment. And so those are really the two things that we look at. Are you a needed or interesting technology based on what we've heard, and or will you be a good investment for our dollars going forward?
Sure. So that sort of brings up the question that Monique Ross-Wolf asks, and that is that once you see a technology that you're interested in, what does the company have to look like in order to make the discussion going forward more attractive to you?
Well, it depends. So we made the decision when I joined to focus on earlier stage companies, whereas I think before the Lockheed Venture Group was focused on later stage companies. And later stage companies are plug-in suppliers. That's the way the company would look at it. And we're trying to get a hold of the technology and work with these companies much earlier to let specifically what our requirements are, how to shape the technology to be attractive to Lockheed Martin and the DoD. And so the expectations are a little bit different. I think the initial thing is there a collaboration or a test or something that we could do together to prove the validity of the tech going forward, and should we be investing more in each other's time to bring this thing to market, to the DoD and our customers. A shift. That doesn't mean that our business areas still don't think the other way and just want to get mature suppliers and work with them. So that's part of my job, is impedance matching between the small company and the large company, and our team is up to that, and that's what we've been doing.
Wonderful. Let me ask, do you find that investing in these small companies is generally the path to go, or do you actually look at the merger and acquisition route as well?
It's a great question, and it has a complicated answer, but the bottom line is like you've heard from the DoD and particularly Dr. Will Roper, we're looking for commercial technology that has dual use in the DoD. And it's that commercial aspect that is a little bit nettlesome to a company like Lockheed Martin, which 99% of our revenue comes from defense. So, a company that's built its value largely on commercial becomes a hard lift for us on an acquisition side, because the defense side is really what we're interested in. So, but we want to benefit from that commercial scale, right? The commercial markets generally have volume and economics that the defense markets don't have. So, and speed. And so we want to benefit from the the speed, the expense, the cost reduction, and the scale that you're going to get from those commercial markets. But they don't always lend themselves well for acquisition. And I'm saying the door is slammed on that. Obviously, something really attractive might slot in there for that. But in general, the companies we're looking at have a large commercial aspect, which isn't as attractive to a very singularly minded defense company like a Lockheed Martin.
Sure. Okay, wonderful. So one of the questions also has to do with whether or not your government sponsors are actually pushing you in some regard to find these alternative suppliers, these non-traditional suppliers.
I mean, I'm pushing ourselves to do that. I'm in enough meetings similar to this with government-sponsored programs from AFWorks and SoftWorks and NavX, and there is a constant drumbeat of finding non-traditionals. But I think if you look behind that, the real drumbeat is, can we find fast-moving technology and bring it to the warfighter as quickly as possible? And so that's the mantra that I've picked up on and worked on, and that's how I'm trying to operate in this space. Now, a counterpoint to the previous question, though, I forgot to mention, is that not everything rises to the level of investment, but we have spent a good deal of time making sure that interesting tech that we see, we make those introductions inside the company as well. So if there's really interesting tech, your valuation may be too high or you're too mature for a venture, we'll still make sure that the proper PIs or SMEs within Lockheed Martin put some eyeballs on the tech and make a decision whether to go forward or not, which may or may not involve us. But we try to, again, our mission is to find interesting technology for Lockheed Martin and our customers. So we're either investing in it or making the introductions as well.
Wonderful. One of the things you mentioned a little bit ago was the uptake by your operating divisions of the companies you invest in, the technology.
Right.
So that's a clear success measure. Okay.
Yes.
Have you actually developed a set of success measures in addition to that you like to follow?
Yeah, we're still refining these. I think this the fact that we got access to the Lockheed procurement system allowed us to dig in and find all these purchase orders. So that was really a big win for us to find that. We just found that information a couple months ago, and we're going to continue to monitor that. So that's one metric. We also keep track of the number of projects we've engaged with the various business units, whether we know how much they're spending or not. That's irrelevant. But there are also some big public wins. Like just this week, we had a big win with one of our startup companies on a space-based program. I'm sure some of you may have seen it, but we won a 10 satellite order for the communications layer of a LEO constellation for the Space Administration, and we did that in partnership with one of our startup companies. So that's huge for us, huge for them. You can see that's a great combination of venture, startup tech, fast speed, and the knowledge and the relationships that Lockheed Martin has with the government to make something like that happen. So that's a huge win for us.
Well, congratulations. That's a wonderful win. Can I probe Can I probe that just a bit and
Sure.
ask the components of the essential components of that win? So Lockheed Martin as an integrator for sure, the partner company perhaps as a technology provider, okay?
Yeah.
Is that the normal sort of approach for these kinds of wins?
Possibly. There's a little bit of a nuanced approach here. I believe that they will play the role of integrator in this role, believe it or not, because they're the satellite manufacturer, and we will be providing payloads to them. So, extraordinary payloads in a small package space to do that. So it's slightly integrated role. And, the challenge, particularly on very small satellites, is to make those attractive to a company like Lockheed Martin, right? We manufacture the GPS constellation, for instance, the GOES constellation for weather tracking, SBIRS for the nuclear deterrent. I mean, these are big, extraordinary satellites, multi-$100-million payloads and capabilities. And now, with the Space Force and the focus on resiliency, LEO constellations and satellites are becoming more important, and we're trying to figure out as a company how to operate in that space. And one of the construct is to work with a small satellite manufacturer to help us become good in those areas.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. There's one last aspect of a question from Jamila James, and your Lockheed's focus on defense. Okay.
Yeah.
But often when you develop technology, there are clear commercial applications. Do you have a strategy that allows you to move those technologies into the commercial environment?
Well, we're hoping that the startup company actually is focused on that, that they have an interest in, letting some of this technology off ramp to the DoD national security interests. But as I said, the real goal is for us not to disrupt how this company is operating and let it grow commercially, again, to get that scale and volume. Those are the things that are really enabling, right? When that level of revenue growth, that level of cost reduction is something that usually a DoD contract doesn't really allow a startup to operate in. So we're trying to preserve that business model with the hopes of allowing them access to some of these DoD customers as they grow and mature.
Ah, wonderful. And since you're all over the globe, you bump into technology in a startup, wherever it is, you're going to find a way to have a discussion with them, I assume.
Well, I'd love to say that's true. We do pay attention to stuff, but we're a small group, and so we are a little bit limited in where we can work. So right now, our focus is the U.S. primarily, Canada also, and then some activity in the UK and Australia are really about as far as we can reach at the moment. But if we looked at other areas of interest, certainly Israel would be interesting, India would be interesting. But we'll slowly expand in those areas. We've got a small group, and we're trying to keep it that way. And there's just so much we can do at any one time.
I understand. Chris, this has really been wonderful. Can I ask you to hold on for just a minute? So what I'm going to try and do is try and call our other presenter who has firewalls galore as well, okay, and can't get through. That's Lisa Kearney from Raytheon. And let me see if I can get Lisa on the phone, and then I can put her slides up. And we'll have that discussion, and then we'll finish up here.
Great.
Okay, here we go. So I hope you're all hearing Lisa's ring.
Hello.
Hi, Lisa. Victor.
Oh, Victor. Oh, my gosh.
So
how's it going?
It's going great. Chris is doing a great job, and there have been a lot of questions. Now, I have your presentation, and I'm going to put it up, see if I can put it up, and ask you to speak to it. Would you mind doing it that way?
I can do that. Let me get my presentation back up. My screen just went to sleep.
Okay.
Okay.
Hang on just a second. Let's go back this way. Okay. We have you on the screen, Strategic Outlook for Small Business Utilization.
Okay.
Raytheon Technologies. Okay. Contents. Go for it.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Lisa Kearney, and I'm an engineering fellow with Raytheon Technologies, and I'm located in Los Angeles, California. So the contents of my presentation today, I'm going to give you a brief overview of Raytheon Technologies, some information on how Raytheon interfaces with the small business community, touch upon the construct of the SBIR programs, the charter of the Small Business Administration, a little more detail on SBIR and STTR, touch upon data rights, because I know that's all near and dear to us, IP and such, and then a little bit of information that we've gathered from the Air Force and Navy, Missile Defense Agency, DARPA, and then I'm also providing everyone with my contact information.
So Lisa, let me just share with you that I have not managed our time well, and we are going to be off at 1:45. So, or rather,
I'll talk quickly.
Yeah.
I'll talk quickly.
Okay.
Okay. Just briefly, Raytheon Technologies is actually brand new. It's Raytheon and United Technologies Corporation. We came together early in the year. We're an aerospace defense company and technology based. We now have 4 major business units: Collins Aerospace, Pratt Whitney, a couple companies I think most of you are familiar with, and then it's Raytheon Intelligence and Space, which is where I'm located, and then Raytheon Missiles and Defense. So I'll discuss a little bit of our business interaction strategy. We make a point throughout the year to truly try to interface with the small businesses. You all have the flexibility to develop really cool technologies where a company that's as large as Raytheon just does not have, quite frankly, the funding or the setup to really go into every different technology niche that might be cutting edge for the future. And additionally, an awful lot of the patents and such come from the small business community. So it behooves us to want to engage on a regular basis and cultivate those relationships with our small business brethren. Some of the modes of direct small business interaction, licensing the technology, the technologies you all develop on a SBIR or STTR. I mean, you all own that, and working with a company like Raytheon or Lockheed, for example, we can help you further that technology along, and then at the end of the day, you have something that you could, make another buck on and license it out to the community, really with the end game of getting that technology into a program of record and out to the warfighter. Along those lines, perhaps you're all aware, there's really 3 phases to SBIR and STTR. You have a phase 1, which is a seedling developmental phase. Phase 2 is a little bit further along in the TRL. And then phase 3, which is not funded by SBIR or STTR, but it's usually outside funding sources, or you can go to the Air Force and the Navy and make a case with your prime contractor for funding to transfer that technology into a program of record. Let's see. So yes?
We've got the SBIR and the SBA, and I think folks know a fair amount about that, but you want to take a minute and talk about your SBIR and STTR? Or let's see, I think.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, so that, I don't know, that might be chart number 11 or so. And I have a little phasing schedule laid out.
Yes.
Phase 0, topic generation. And, a lot of the topics actually come from the contracting community, prime contractors. Raytheon, for example, gets together fairly regularly with the program managers, like for SBIR and STTR, with the Navy and the Air Force in particular. And we discuss areas that we think would be advantageous for our warfighter, areas of development. And so we help shape a little bit on the types of solicitations that are posted and to get you folks going. So hopefully, as things progress, we will be able to do those technology transfers. Past has held these commercialization readiness events where you, the small business, have brought your technology to perhaps a TRL 5, and this is an effort to get together with a prime contractor and figure out a way to truly move that technology forward and have it be put into a program of record or further mature it so that in effect will actually occur.
I am wondering if we can go to data rights.
Absolutely. Okay. So once again, I encourage everybody, if you haven't already done so, to please really understand all about the data rights. The awards are going to the small business. That's you. You own the data rights. You own the title to the technology that you're developing. I know there have been, and I'm certainly sure there are concerns on your IP. You own that, and you have opportunities to license that technologies and to continue to make some money off of it. But in fact, you all own what you've developed. And in working with Raytheon, for example, we will have no claim to the work that you have done and the IP you have developed. And as a matter of fact, you have an opportunity to license that technology to us should we want to use that technology for programs in the future.
Great.
Yep.
So we've got the Air Force Small Business Vision and Execution, Department of the Navy, the Missile Defense Agency, DARPA, and these are all organizations that you work with.
Absolutely, and on a regular basis. And Raytheon just really leverages the opportunity to work with small businesses. And like I said, you all have just tremendous capabilities and flexibility that we may not have, and a lot of times we don't have. And then we try to work with the research labs also in developing new technologies that will, I work for Raytheon. We want to be more competitive, and we need the small businesses' help in order to do so.
Sure. Lisa, you have been amazingly fast and crisp. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, my pleasure. And I'll tell you, on slide 22, you got my contact information and my email. So don't hesitate to contact me, and I'd be glad to have a conversation.
Absolutely.
So thanks, Victor.
Thank you very
much. So much for the opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Super. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my slide right now. At least I think I am. Go back. Okay. So it's 1:46. I want to thank you all. Chris, Lisa, thank you so much for barreling through these technology issues and having a wonderful discussion with our folks who have come to listen. Very much appreciate that. All of you will have access to this material. Amber has been amazing in getting this information out, and we look forward to working with you. Don't hesitate to reach out to me, reach out to Chris, reach out to Lisa, and we'll be happy to help you moving forward. Again, thank you very much. Everyone have a wonderful and safe Labor Day holiday.
Thanks, Victor. Appreciate the opportunity. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey, guys, thank you so much. This was really informative. People are asking whether they can have access to Lisa's slides because they were small on the screen. Is there a way I could get a link to that presentation? Because I noticed you were using a browser.
Yes, I have her slides and I can send them to you. She has already given us permission to do that.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Chris, you as well?
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you, guys.
Super.
Have a wonderful weekend.
Okay,
All right.
thank you. Bye-bye.